Okay, we continue the discussion on the path of the demons and the path of the angels. Obviously, in the path of the demons are represented, the symbolic Lucifer. Lucifer represents the fall from heaven. That means the fall, the rejection of God, while the path of the angels represents God and the embracing of God. Within this, one must obviously apply an interesting thing which is called kindergarten mathematics, because in the path of the angels and in embracing God, you have temporary existence which then take you back to God, and you lose your individuality and you become a zombie that eternally say hallelujah. So in the point of free choice, when you choose God, you in fact do not choose yourself and you do not individualize, which is pretty obvious. When you choose Lucifer and you choose life, you then choose responsibility and equality, which is obvious. In the path of God, you choose love because you do not want to be responsible to look after yourself for eternity. So God must look after you, and the only way God can look after you is in equality, which means you have to then have no individuality so you can live in eternal bliss. Obvious common sense. So within the principles of the path of the demon, you have to be responsible for how you feel and how you exist in every breath, and you then become self-living, therefore you become life, and you are no longer love. In the system of the demon, love is not required because responsibility is understood. In the path of love, life is not required because you need no responsibility, because God's taking on the responsibility, and therefore you can never become life, you only become love. These paths is the paths that the human has designed. In this all, equal money is in the realm of the path of the demon, because money is seen as the root of all evil, while in the path of God, path of the angels, the money system is based on profit because it's the path of the prophet. And there one works with the path of ordination, where God has preordained that you become successful and profitable, and you have no say in it because God has decided that. While in the equal money system, everyone is equally taken care of because everyone has decided to look after each other. So in the path of the demon, you deal with equality, you deal with love thy neighbor, which means then that Jesus was in fact walking the path of the demon and not the path of the angel. That is why Jesus had to pay with his life, because to walk the path of the demon, you have to give up the world from the perspective of love and the perspective of God, and you have to enter the responsible path of the demon, which is love thy neighbor as thyself and do unto another as you would have them done unto you. In the path of the angel, one disregard the world, and it doesn't matter what happens in the world because your path is already chosen and laid out, and whether you suffer or not is the will of God. So thy neighbor is irrelevant. Suffering from that perspective is meaningless because you are not living to be here, you're living to be hereafter and be with God eternally. With the path of the demon, you have to live here because here is all that is real. There is no hereafter because there is no more God. You have in fact become equal to God. Now obviously there in the path of the demon you have no fear because you have understood fear and become equal with fear, while in the path of the angel you fear fear because only God can deal with fear and you are incapable and not equal to it. Therefore you are not equal to anything but being the servant of God. Therefore you are nothing but a servant. While in the path of the demon you are everything, inequality, and you give it to yourself through self-forgiveness, and you give it to each other through equality, and therefore you truly become thy brother's neighbor. We will continue discussing it, but you can work this out for yourself. 1 + 1 = 2, and consider that the equal life foundation is at this stage the recommended choice. If you consider that free choice to exist, then you are now looking at the choices there are. The one is the choice of equality, and the other is the choice of the servant. Obviously there is consequences. Do not delude yourself. Look at the practical consequences that comes from these things and understand there is like a final line which determines your choice, and that you must live the choice, whatever you live. If you live the choice of the demon, you must live it completely, otherwise death will take you to the other choice. If you are the choice of the angel, obviously you are living that by the service you live in, and this world obviously is the world of God, because in this world everyone that is governing the world is still living in the realm of the service to God, which means when you die, your consciousness, your individuality ends. In the path of the demon, when you die, your individuality continues. Very few has managed to walk that path as a self-willed path in full understanding. It is time to understand. Lucifer is the symbol of life. God is the symbol of death. Decide.